What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of this week's Brick Built Mindset podcast. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in and subscribing. So today I want to bring you all an exercise I recently did with my partner. We have established these nights in our relationship recently where we separate them from date nights, and we call these relationship nights. We spend time working and building our relationship, learning about one another, figuring out something new, and then aligning our values and our goals, etc., like on and on and on. In our most recent relationship night, we discussed what are our three main priorities. And these were done individually, not together. We're actually going to be doing that next, where we talk about our relationship values and our relationship priorities. But I wanted to do this exercise where we talked about our priorities separately. And we listed them in order of importance. We both had time to list them and then discuss them further into detail. And what we both learned from this was what it looks like for ourselves and what it looks like for one another to support the other person in the list of said priorities. Knowing the importance in which your priorities fall in your life gives you a sense of order, it gives you a sense of meaning and a sense of understanding. Priorities are there to help you stay in alignment and to provide you structure in your life so that you can live a more fulfilled life. And I'm sure a lot of you haven't really sat down and thought about them. I'm sure like if somebody was to ask you about your priorities, you could just rattle off a few different things. But I want to encourage you today to really think about your priorities and think about the importance in which your priorities list as far as in order. And if you don't know your top three priorities, your top priorities, then how can you expect somebody else to know your priorities that is close to you? How can you expect to establish any order in your life if you don't know your priorities? And I'm sure you've heard the saying of get your priorities in line and get your priorities in check. But I'm encouraging you all today to do an exercise where you actually list your top three priorities. And what we learned through this whole exercise together was how we can help one another maintain the importance level of these priorities. And having someone who also has their priorities in check allows for you both to grow, whether that's in the same direction or as individuals. In this exercise, we actually learned a lot about each other. And it's funny because prior to this, we thought we knew what was important to one another. We thought that we knew where things were in order. And then after doing this, we really had a newfound sense of what was important. And then we also found out that there's another way for us to support each other. And I'm not just saying this, even if you don't have somebody, I encourage you to do this with a friend, a family member, somebody that you guys can really rely on to keep you in check and keep you accountable to the priorities that you listed. And we also found out these don't have to be the same. You don't both have to actually have the same priorities or even in different orders. You guys can both have different priorities, you and your friend, your loved one, your partner, and you can still find a way to value one another's priorities. And in my opinion, your priorities can change in order sometimes, depending on your different growth in your life and the different stages you may have. But the thing is, your priorities should always be in order of importance. Find out what your priorities are and keep them in the forefront of your mind every single day. Thank you all for listening. And if you guys have been a listener over the last several months, weeks, days, years, I want to say thank you. And I want you all to please do me a favor and leave a review. I've been reading a lot of them lately and a lot of feedback from the podcast. And I truly appreciate it. And I would love to get this out more and more to different people in a different ear. So if you wouldn't mind leaving a review of what the podcast has done for you or any feedback on how I can provide better value, I would truly appreciate it.